What is up, guys, and welcome back to 7th Street, and welcome back to our second episode of our brand new web series where we review Wizard Big Boxes. We started off pretty hot with Headless Eyes, so now let's jump into a really obscure Italian giallo, Trauma. So just right off the bat, taking a look at this cover, you'll notice the black glove with the knife, which is cool. I mean, the overall poster is really cool. It's sort of stereotypical for a giallo film. I feel like I've seen this a million times. In fact, when I first saw this cover online, I thought, that can't be Dario Argento's Trauma. I mean, that came out in 1993. And it isn't. I think the original title for this is The Red Rings of Death, is the Italian translation. The one thing that I really like about this cover is this gothic house up here in the corner. And I really wish that it was bigger, that it took up more of the box. I mean, you have all this empty space over here. And the thing that really bothers me, it's super trivial, but it doesn't have a tagline. All the Wizard Big Boxes have these sort of punny, cheesy taglines. And this one's definitely missing one. It's taking itself a little bit too seriously, maybe. Like I said, overall, I think it's a really nice drawing. But it's missing something. It's a little boring. When you take a look at the back, you'll also notice the super boring stills. They're both images of the main character, this detective, and he's like lifting up the cover, looking at some dead body at a morgue or, at a crime scene. It's just, you can tell that if this is the best that they could put on the back of the box, the movie is probably going to drag. The other thing you'll notice almost instantly is that it says music by Riz Orlante. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's the guy who scored the music for Cannibal Holocaust and Mondo Cane. Two beautiful scores. Some of my favorite scores. I know I was super hopeful when I saw that. We'll get into that when we talk about the movie, but not so much. The other interesting thing to note here is it says that it stars Arthur Kennedy. Arthur Kennedy is not in this film. I have no idea why that's on here. But overall, I would give the Wizard Big Box for Trauma 2 stars. Although the cover is pretty cool, it's a little lackluster, it's missing something, it's definitely missing a tagline, and the pictures on the back are very boring. There's not a lot of beef here.
Where's the beef?
Now that we got that settled, let's pop the movie in.
But it's best to wait until things have calmed down before going any further. Quiet, Rick. Easy, boy.
When my dad was a kid, he had to have the tip of his finger reattached after slicing it off while playing with a rusty shopping cart. I'd like to believe that he enjoyed that experience more than I enjoyed watching Trauma. I don't mean to bash on this film that hard, but there's just not much here. As I said with the cover, there's just not a lot of beef to this movie.
I hate you! I hate you! Why?
The plot is pretty stereotypical. It's about a detective trying to solve a string of murders at an all-girls school.
I see. Very progressive. It must be rewarding to work in such an inspired establishment.
The twist at the end is pretty uninspired. You would think that you would get a decent amount of nudity, what with the plot dealing with an all-girls school and the fact that it's an Italian movie, but not really. You get a little bit here and there, but, it's definitely not a focal point of the film. You would also think, since it's a giallo, that you would get some really cool gore effects. But once again, not really. 2 of the deaths are by poison blow dart, and someone gets killed by marbles being left on the ground. He, falls down the stairs. There are only a few noteworthy scenes in this movie. First and foremost, the flashback of a girl being tortured with a gigantic dildo is worth a few laughs. Also, the line near the beginning where the detective, he's looking at this dead girl and he goes,
"Somebody with a cock this big raped Angela Russo and threw her in the river."
Stop! Please stop!
There's also a scene where the detective is interrogating this guy on a roller coaster, which is pretty funny, and he's afraid of the roller coaster. He's just going, "Ah!" There's also a really funny scene where one of the detectives drops a marble and goes to catch it and ends up falling off of a fucking bridge. Other than that, this movie, there's just not much going on. Like I said earlier, Ritz Orlante did the music for it, but it's like this like sweet jazz soundtrack. Overall, this is just a really tame, really typical giallo thriller. There's not a lot of beef here.
Hey, where's the beef?
There's not a lot for me to recommend. Like I said, it's really tame. I would only recommend this to die-hard giallo fans who just want to see them all. But if you're not one of those people, you're not really missing a lot. I'm being pretty generous when I give Trauma 2 stars. The nudity and goofy dialogue just aren't enough to carry this film.
Will I be taken to prison now?
All in all, Trauma receives 4 out of 10 stars. If you're a giallo completist or a Wizard video junkie, definitely find yourself a copy. But if that's not the case, you're not missing much. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this. And if you like this series, make sure that you leave a comment below or like and share. I really want to keep this one going. So your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys.